So as you know, we are now in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is titled as Karma Yoga. And so far we have seen up to the 26th verse, and we had a break, so last two classes I just summarized what we had learnt in the first 26 verses. So today let us proceed further in this third chapter. So let us first read 26th verse, then we will proceed. Okay, let us read 25th verse. बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्मसंगिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्. So here, as you remember, Krishna says a jnani, just because he has attained jnanam, should not create disturbance in others. He should allow others to continue whatever they are doing, as long as they are doing within the laws of dharma. Because just because jnani has understood the truth does not mean the others will be able to do that. So he should not disturb them in any way. He should just allow them to continue whatever they are doing. Only if they are going against dharma, he should prompt them or bring them, advise them to get back to dharmic ways. So up to this we had seen. Now let us proceed with verse number 27. Prakrite kriyamanani guneh karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudatma kartahamati miti manyate. Now these two verses are very important verses, verse 27 and 28, where Krishna is going to, or Bhagavan is going to talk about who is a jnani and who is a ajnani. Because if we get this clarity about who is a jnani and an ajnani, then things become clear. And that is the whole teaching. So in fact, if somebody understands these two verses in total, one can know what is the difference between a jnani and a ajnani. So in this 27th verse, Krishna is talking about who is a ajnani. So the one who performs actions impelled by Prakriti. Now we have to understand Prakriti means you have Prakriti and Purusha. So in this context, Prakriti is something which is changing all the time, and Purusha is the thing that is never changing. It is just a witness. So Prakriti refers to the changing part. So we are all made up of Prakriti. The world is also made up of Prakriti. We can say the three gunas, Rajas, Tamas, Sattva. The individual is also made up of that. The total is also made up of that. So these two, we interact with the outside world to live in this world and take care of our needs. But we are under the impression, or the individual, the Ajnani, is under the impression that he is Prakriti, or here we can say Prakriti means for an individual it is a mind and body complex. So we associate ourselves with the mind and body complex. So basically there are two eyes, the lower eye and the higher eye. You can say there are two eyes. Now what is the lower eye? That is our ahankara, ego. Ego here doesn't mean, ahankara doesn't mean that I am, sometimes we associate it with pride or arrogance. It is not in that meaning. Ahankara means the one who, basically refers to the body-mind complex. So we generally associate with the body-mind complex, which is the lower eye, and whatever karma we do, we feel that we are doing, because we are associated with this lower eye. So we continue to do our actions and claiming credit for our actions, because we feel when we do the action, the credit also comes to us. So our actions are purely based on the results that accrue out of those actions. So in general, everybody is working for happiness, and all our actions are based on achieving this result. The result is happiness, and we feel we are doing. When we say we mean the body-mind complex. Since we feel we are the body, we are the mind, we feel I am the doer. So we associate ourselves with the lower eye. We forget there is a higher eye. The higher eye is the consciousness. It is also called as the Purusha. The world is functioning due to Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is nothing but the one which lights up the Prakriti. Everything happens in the presence of Purusha. Purusha is not dependent on Prakriti, but Prakriti is totally dependent on Purusha. The body-mind complex is dependent on the consciousness to function. Otherwise, these two are inert. Without the consciousness, the body-mind complex cannot function. But since we are associated always with the body-mind complex, we forget that we are actually the consciousness. So this awareness has to come. Unless we are aware of the higher eye, we will continue to function thinking we are the lower eye, and because of this we continue to suffer. So whatever actions we do, they are going to produce results. If we do positive actions, we are bound to get positive results, which we call as punya. If we do actions which are not conducive to dharma, then the results that accrue will be negative results, which we call as papa. So this cycle continues. So as long as we are associated with the body-mind complex, we continue to do karma, because karma is inevitable. So irrespective of whether you are a jnani or a ajnani, karma is inevitable, because the world is driven by karma alone. So we are, for every thing that we need, we have to do karma. To eat, we have to do karma. To survive in this world, we need to do karma. So whether you are a jnani or ajnani doesn't matter, karma has to be done. But if you think that you are the one doing the karma, you tend to suffer. So this is the basic difference between because in the next verse, Krishna is going to talk about the nature of the jnani. So as long as we are associating ourselves with the lower self, we will continue to suffer. We will continue to go through this cycle of birth and death, because until that jnanam is achieved, this cycle will continue. So in this particular life, we have a body, and the time comes for this body to fall. We continue in the next body, again going through the same kind of sufferings. So this is the basic nature. So this cycle continues, and an ajnani continues to go through this cycle of birth and death. He is not, it is not that, or we can say, it is for him to claim his higher self. But he is not aware that he is actually the higher self. So jnana means knowing you are the higher self and just claiming that. So this is, for example, suppose there is a beggar. The beggar continues to beg for his living. One day suddenly someone comes and tells him, hey, there is a lot of gold under your hut. If you just dig, there will be gold, and you need not beg all your life. But the beggar is so used to begging. First of all, he doesn't believe there is gold, and secondly, he doesn't want to put in that effort to dig that gold. Anyway, I am comfortable with begging, so let me continue to do that. So that is what all of us are doing. We go around begging for happiness, forgetting that we are sitting on that source. We are the very source of happiness, but we are going begging around. We are doing religious activities. We are trying to do many activities so that we can get, like the beggar, getting a few coins, a few pieces of cash, or whatever is required for him to sustain. So he thinks that is what is required. So whatever he gains from that, he gains a little happiness, forgetting that right inside, under his house, there is a big pot of gold. So it is just for him to claim it. Similarly, it is for all of us to just claim our higher self. There is nothing much required, but to first be aware of that higher self and then to claim it. That is the whole process of achieving the ultimate goal, moksha. So ajnani is always working for happiness, thinking that he is the body-mind complex. He is the mind, he is the body, because we are always associated with the body. So if somebody calls us by name, which is associated with the body. So somebody thinks, when the child is born, the child is not aware of anything. He doesn't think it is dark or fair or thin or fat. Slowly as it grows older, it starts realizing because of the surroundings. So if the child is thin, people say, oh, the thin child. Or somebody says is a fat child or a black child or a white child. So all these things, attributes, are thrust upon us. And we start thinking, oh, I am dark. So everybody looks at me in a different way. Or I am fat. So everybody pokes fun at me. I am thin. Even then people poke fun at you. So we associate ourselves so closely with the body and the mind that we think we are that. Until we know that we are only connecting with our lower self, and the higher self is none of this. It is neither dark nor fat. It doesn't go undergo any change. So if you remember the nature of the Atma doesn't undergo any change. It doesn't do any activity. Like the screen in a film, the screen is only there to project the film. The screen doesn't undergo any change. The screen extends beyond the movie. The screen is not subject to any damage or any this thing because of what is happening in the movie. And the screen continues to exist after the movie also. It continues to exist. So this is only a similar thing. We should not extend it too much. But Atma is neither the doer nor the enjoyer. It is only a witness to all things that are happening, like the screen. So Ajnani is primarily associating himself because he is deluded. So that is why it is a Vimud Atma, one who is deluded. It is not that he is ignorant, he is not that he doesn't know, but he is so deluded he is not able to see beyond the lower eye. He continues, like the beggar, he continues to think he can only survive with begging. He doesn't want to even understand that he is sitting on a pot of gold. So this is what Krishna is trying to convey, which is applicable to almost all of us, because we are all associating ourselves with the lower eye. So unless we start looking beyond the lower eye, we will continue to come and go in this world in different forms until we realize that we are not this lower eye but the higher eye, which is there for us to claim. Like if you remember the famous statement of Bal Gangadhar Tilak, freedom is our birthright and we have to get it. So similarly, moksha is our birthright and we have to just claim it. It is not that, it is like we are holding on to the tree and saying, please let me go, let me go. The tree is not holding you, we are holding the tree. So it is just for, you have to just let go yourself and you will be free. Same thing, you have to just let go the ego, ahankara, which is the lower self, and claim that we are the higher self. So this is what Krishna is trying to convey in this verse. Now let us go on to the 28th verse. Tattva vittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayoha guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. So here Krishna is describing the jnani. The jnani understands that whatever karma he is doing is not associated with him. It is associated with the mind-body complex. Since he is the witness to all this, once you understand you are just a witness, you disassociate yourself from the actions. But that doesn't mean that there is no mind and body complex for the jnani. Doesn't mean that he does not do karma. He also has to do karma. Because it is not that once he becomes a jnani, suddenly he disappears. Suddenly there is no mind and body complex. They say, in some places they say, once you attain jnanam, your mind is destroyed. There is no mind. So all these things are just metaphorical. There is nothing, there is no truth in the understanding is not clear. When you say the mind is destroyed, it means the ignorance in the mind is destroyed, not that the mind is destroyed by itself. Once you understand that you are not the doer, you are not the mind and body complex, so automatically you are relieved of all the karma. You continue to do karma. The difference is Ajnani does karma to gain happiness, while the jnani does karma out of happiness. So there is a major difference. He is already attained what is to be achieved. He doesn't need to do anything, but as long as he is there in this body-mind complex, this continues to exist, he has to do karma. Even eating, or even when he wants to teach this knowledge to others, that is also karma. So it is his duty to work for the betterment of others, you can say. So whatever karma he does is to ensure betterment of others, not for his own sake. He is not looking to do anything for his own benefit, because he has nothing to achieve. He is already connected with the higher I. So once you want to make a line shorter without cutting the line, without erasing the line, all you have to do is draw a bigger line. So like in cooking, sometimes the ladies will find that they have added more salt. So how do you do? What do you do? You cannot remove the salt from the dish. So what do? You add a little bit of hot water. Or in some case they add a few pieces of potato which absorb the salt. So same way, once you connect to the higher I, the lower I automatically becomes smaller. You are no longer associated with the mind and body complex. You know that you are the very embodiment of happiness. You don't have to work to seek that happiness, which ajnanis are doing. But you should not discourage the others from doing their duty. They may be doing it for their own, by associating themselves with the mind and body complex, since they are not aware. But a jnani's duty is to help them carry out their duties. At the same time, if they are interested to know about the higher self, then only he has to pass on the knowledge. Otherwise, people, even if he says, they will not understand. So like, if some of us talk about this subject to somebody who is not interested, they will say, what has happened to you? Are you normal? Did you get hit on the head somewhere? Why you are talking all these things? Especially when you are younger, it becomes even more people will be, if you talk about Bhagavad Gita in your younger days, people will think there is something wrong with you. You are going to become a Swami. So this is the general. So in majority of the people, they think that because they are not aware, they think that there is something wrong with you. So their awareness of the higher self is not there. They continue to associate themselves with the mind and body complex. So if somebody talks to them about the higher self, they feel it's something wrong with that person, not with themselves. So the jnani's duty is to continue as long as he is, because he also has ahankara, means the body mind complex exists, but that is limited to doing whatever is required to continue in this world as long as the body exists. Because once the body drops off, for a jnani the mind also drops off, it merges with the total, and he continues, because there is nothing other than the total. So the person realizes he is the total. So there is no second. But as long as he continues to live in this body-mind complex, he continues to carry out his duties, help whoever requires help, and continue to do things out of happiness, because he is not looking for happiness, because he understands this is the very embodiment of happiness. So he continues to function out of happiness, which helps others. So as long as he exists, he does karma, he does any kind of activity for the betterment of others. So this is what is the nature of a jnani. So we have seen the nature of a ajnani first, and then the nature of a jnani. If we understand this totally, then we have understood the very essence of teaching, because the entire teaching is to understand the self. And once you understand the self and you continue to abide in that knowledge, you are free from everything, and once you leave the body, you are free from the cycle of birth and death. So that is why these two verses are very important. And in the next verse, again Krishna is going to elaborate a little bit why the jnani should not disturb others in their quest, whatever they are doing, as long as they are doing whatever they do following dharma. So we will see the next verse in the next class.